What if your age determined the moment you'd vanish from existence? In Clair Obscur, Expedition 33, that's not just a metaphor, it's law. A mysterious force is erasing humanity year by year, and the only ones left to stop it are a handful of broken souls on a dying world. But beneath the beauty of this surreal RPG lies a combat system that demands perfection, or punishes hard. I've completed the journey, fought through frustration, and emerged with the honest truth. Let's break down whether Expedition 33 is worth your time, or just another beautifully wrapped heartbreak.
Obscur.
67 years ago, the world fractured, scattering cities and lands across the globe. Along with the fracture came an entity known as the Paintress, who began inscribing numbers on a monolith. Starting with 100, the numbers signified an age. Whoever reached that age vanished into nothingness. Year by year, she would count down, erasing the last few people left alive. The final bastion of society, Lumiere, decided to send groups of people, known as expeditions, across the sea to confront the Paintress. Our story begins with Expedition 33, which attempts to act immediately after the erasing of everyone aged 33. You play from the perspective of Gustav, an engineer for Expedition 33. Having just said goodbye to a close friend, he's geared up and ready to face the Paintress, alongside the rest of his expedition. However, things do not go as planned shortly after their arrival on the continent. Separated from his crew, he must battle fierce Nevrons and regroup to complete his mission. You may be familiar with a turn-based RPG. However, instead of watching your enemy beat you up while you do nothing, this game gives you a chance to avoid all incoming damage and possibly counterattack. That is, if you can manage a little timing. When the enemy attacks, you have the option to dodge or block, with your dodge window being slightly bigger and blocking responds with a counterattack. As you progress in the game, enemies become more aggressive, boasting multiple attacks at a time, requiring you to block every single one if you want to counterattack. If you manage to get far enough, they even add a stronger attack that you can't dodge but must block in a special way, which requires a different button than regular blocks. On top of your defensive timing, there will be quick time events for every skilled attack you use. Perfect timing gives you a stronger attack. However, if you don't care for that, it can be turned off in the settings. Every character you can use in combat has their own special way of fighting. For instance, Lune receives elemental stains when using magic, which can enhance other skills. Gustav, on the other hand, can charge his mechanical arm with attacks to unleash a massive strike. Although they are all unique, there seems to be a way to mix and match, allowing you to easily work with your favorite characters on a team. You won't need to manage much when it comes to your character's equipment. A few Pictos for stats and skills, and a weapon. Each character has a unique weapon type with various options available. The weapons you find will benefit from specific stats, and provide unique effects during battles. The skills on weapons won't unlock until they reach levels 4, 10, and 20. You may find a weapon at a high level, but most will need upgrading as you gather the necessary materials. You will find many different Pictos on your journey. These handy little items boost the stats of whoever is wearing them and provide a passive effect, such as burning the enemy on critical hits. Each character can have at least 3 Pictos equipped at a time. If they equip a Pictos for at least 4 battles, the passive effect will be learned, and any character can equip it at the cost of Lumina. The more effective the passive, the more Lumina it costs to equip. Lumina can be gained as you level up, or you can enhance it with items. Pictos and Lumina are the keys to creating absolutely astonishing builds that can destroy enemies quickly. All the weapons and Pictos you find can be upgraded, providing you with greater stats. To upgrade weapons, you need to find the correct materials and bring them to your camp. It can be somewhat tedious to leave an area to go outside onto the world map, and then enter the camp to upgrade weapons. The Pictos you find can only be upgraded by collecting duplicates. The only way to max out some Pictos is through repetitive playthroughs to find them again and again.
Great.
For every level you gain, your characters will receive 1 skill point. Each character's skill tree will lead you down paths of elements or specialties, and will require more points the further down the tree you go. If you decide to change your mind about how you've built your skills, you can reset them at the cost of an easily obtained special item. Although they can learn many different skills, they can only have 6 equipped at a time, which may affect how you spend your points. AP represents the points required to utilize skills in combat. Initially, managing AP was a challenge, as there are only a few methods to accumulate it. However, as you progress, you will find Pictos that enhance your AP game based on your actions in combat. This is essential because some of the most powerful skills in the game require a significant amount of AP for just a single use. As you progress through the game, it is very easy to miss entire sections filled with new enemies and amazing loot. However, as rewarding as exploration can be, you may encounter some extremely difficult enemies very early on that are far beyond your level at that time. Therefore, you can either master the art of dodging and parrying to inch your way to victory, or come back later. Some of the best possible rewards in the game are found within special areas, so it's worth looking around. You will find plenty of mature situations and visuals in Clair Obscur. After every fight, depending on how hurt you are, your characters could be covered in dirt and blood. And there are quite a few curse words, but mostly in French. The story also gets very dark and depressing, with some very mature situations. There is no question about this game's M rating. I would love to hear any thoughts or questions you have about the game or my review, so please leave me a message in the comments below. And while you do that, let's move on to my final thoughts and ratings. Clair Obscur is an absolutely gorgeous game. From the characters and enemies to the expansive environments, it's a real treat for the eyes. I loved the visuals of all the different skills being used, and the bizarre look of the denizens found on the continent was sometimes haunting or goofy, but still well done. The game took me through so many different looking areas with enemies to match, always raising the question of what this world is and what's happening. It was always compelling to move forward and find answers. The story was exceptionally well done. Rarely was there a moment of blissful happiness amidst the ongoing tragedy, yet it still crafted a beautiful world that encouraged me to push forward until the end. I loved all the questions raised and uncovering tiny bits of the truth as I explored the game, from lost journals of expeditions past to conversations with faceless beings scattered throughout. As I mentioned, it was an overall sad story, but there were a few perfectly timed moments of comedic relief, preventing me from getting lost in constant depression. The gameplay is where Expedition 33 started to lose me. I really liked my turn-based RPGs in the past, and I would call this game a turn-based RPG. However, with the addition of dodges and parries in combat, I found quite a few frustrating moments. Try as I might to figure out the system, I struggled for the entire game. I heard a few different things I could do to try and make it easier, but the only thing I found was lowering the difficulty to story, which seemed to expand the window to a level of my understanding. I didn't leave it at that difficulty. I really wanted to figure it out, but I just never did. I also turned off the quick time events in combat. I was annoyed at the idea of memorizing every skill and tapping a button for a perfect hit. Eventually, with some help from the internet, I created a one-shot team that made it so I wouldn't have to worry anymore about dodges and parries. It got me all the way to the end. Aside from the combat experiences, I loved how Pictos and Lumina worked. It reminded me of older games I've played. That was very nice. For me, there is no replayability. I didn't have a lot of fun struggling through the game like I did. The story is the best part of the game. That alone helped me finish. There are some choices that could be made that would change the story a bit, but my curiosity is not enough to drag myself through the game again. And with that, I'm going to convert all these final thoughts into numbers so I can give it a rating and place this game on one of my shelves. The visuals were great. I loved the character designs and the world I was playing in. That's a 4. The story was amazing. It was well told, and I loved how it all came together. I would recommend this game for the story alone. That is a 5.
It felt familiar somehow.
The gameplay worked as intended, I think. I just couldn't find an enjoyable time with part of it. I loved some, hated others. For that, it's getting a 3. I do not want to replay this game. I loved the story, but it's good once. I don't need to revisit. Replayability is getting a 1. I wish I could have had more fun with this game. The different options available for character builds was awesome, but I just can't get over the fact that parry and dodge kicked me around as much as it did. Still, the game is getting a 3 from me. Giving Clair Obscur Expedition 33 an average score of 3.2 out of 5, earning it a spot on my top shelf. This game is beloved by many so far. I just don't feel the immense love for it that the others seem to be showing. I played it on the Xbox Game Pass, and it's definitely worth checking out if you have that. If, however, you are a turn-based traditionalist and a stickler about change, you may want to avoid this one. Feel free to check out those lists over there for other games I've reviewed in the past. There may be a hidden gem you do not want to miss out on.